Hey family, welcome back to our podcast, Think Fancy, a place where we discuss concepts, ideas, perspectives, and insights that will cause you to truly think fancy, to make the mental choice to foster achievement, never compromising you. I believe there is greatness on the inside of you, and I am committed to helping you release it. Why? Because someone is waiting for you. I am so excited to be back with you again for season 3 of our podcast. Now, you may have noticed by the new imagery as well as the new intro that we've rebranded these podcasts to be Think Fancy, formerly known as Fancy Thoughts. The reason being is because as we encompass this as a whole concept or theme in everything that we do as a business, we're always centering around fancy, fostering achievement, never compromising you. And so our podcast is no different. In other things, we say live fancy, be fancy, stay fancy. And so with our podcast, we are determined to think fancy. And to think simply means to make a mental choice. It means to ponder a concept. And so my desire is to provide you with information that's going to help you to make a mental choice to foster achievement, but never compromise who you are. And that is why we have rebranded this to Think Fancy. This is a great opportunity for us to come together, and I am so glad you're here. Now let's get into this week's episode. I truly believe that in order for us to foster achievement, in order for us to truly never compromise who we are, there are a few things that you really need to embody in order to do so. And as we go through the next few episodes throughout this season, we will dig into some very important concepts. But I believe they all center around or stem from what we're going to talk about today. And that is being truly authentic. When we think about authenticity and we think about being authentic, we may have different concepts and ideas of what that really means. And it's something that's said somewhat freely, but not necessarily embraced just the same. Because there are so many different barriers and challenges that come against us when we think about being truly authentic. Perhaps it's the situation that we're in. Perhaps it's the people that we're around. There are so many different things that sometimes cause us to doubt or question who we are and how we're showing up. Even in those moments when we feel the most confident, there can easily be something or someone that says something that can cause us to begin to retract or to rethink what we were going to do in an effort to be accepted or in an effort to be palatable to someone else or whatever the reason may be. I know that this is something that I have dealt with, even in this break between season 2 and season 3, where again, we went through so many different things of rebranding and truly determining how I wanted to show up, even in my social media presence. And the area where I finally began to see true freedom and even better responses was when I was completely authentic. Now, mind you, I had to start out with a particular type of strategy to, number one, get myself more comfortable with utilizing social media in this fashion. But after a while, it became a routine instead of just being me. And so there were moments where I just started being me, just doing things randomly. And it was there that I actually began to find it enjoyable, began to find ways to connect with people more because I was being authentically me. Maybe you don't ever struggle with this or you haven't struggled with it yet. And if so, that's a true blessing. But most of us at some point in time, whether it's for a moment or whether it's for an extended period of time, we may deal with the challenges and the pushback on being truly authentic. And sometimes it's simply because we're not exactly sure what is the best way for us to show up. It's trying to determine how do I show up in this scenario and still be able to reach all the people that I think that I want to reach? How do I not turn somebody away or turn someone off because they didn't appreciate or didn't feel what I was trying to say or couldn't really accept it from me? But here's the thing. You have not been created to reach or please or impact everybody. No one has. No one has been created to impact everybody. Everyone instead has been created to impact somebody. There is a group of people that you have been strategically created and designed to influence and impact. And the strategy that you have been given to impact and change these lives is the full release of you being authentic. Of course, there's different ways that you can do that. There's different avenues that you can use and that you will be given the opportunity to express yourself in. But the most important thing that you have to take away from that is that you have to be you. If you want to reach the masses, or even if you want to reach the small group, you can only do so effectively when you are being truly authentically you. And so what does that truly mean? The word authentic, as defined by the Collins Dictionary, is simply not false or copied, genuine and real. Nobody likes fake. Nobody. Nobody likes fake people. Why? Because they can't be trusted. I can't tell which of you is true. Therefore, I can't really trust that you'll be the same tomorrow as you were today. I can't be sure that what you're telling me is a true fact or just something that's being said to please me or to satisfy what you think I want to hear. Being authentic is not false. It's not copied. It's genuine and it's real. Another definition of authentic is true to one's own personality, spirit, or character. We have to be true to who we are. And again, there are times, there are situations, and there are people that challenge us in that because society or certain people have given this stigma of how certain people are supposed to show up and how they're supposed to respond and react in certain situations. And if our personality, if our character, if our expression is contrary to those opinions, there can be a clash. But the question that I have to ask you is, in that clash, who should win? Should their opinions, should their suggestions, should their perspectives be the true reigning decision on how you show up? Or should it be the way that you were created by the master himself? Should the way that you show up be aligned or in line with who and how God created you to be? That's what it means to be authentic, true to you. Even when there may be times that people won't like it or may not be able to receive it. In a mass of people that you think may not receive you, I can guarantee you at least one will. Why? Because you were created to reach at least one. We have to learn to not judge success or judge impact by numbers. Instead, we have to choose to judge it, measure it by impact alone. If you were to impact one person in a mass of 50, and that one person then went on to impact 100 more, was it better that you got just the 50 that stayed in that room? Or was it better that you reach one who in turn had an impact of hundreds and thousands? The difference is you may need to, or you may feel that it's what you see. I need to see that I impacted all the persons that were in front of me. But we can't judge by what we see. We don't live despite society, despite what we're told, despite what social media says, despite what television says. We cannot truly determine success by what we see. We know that even by our word. The Bible says that the just shall live by faith. And it also says we walk not by sight, but by faith. We can't walk by what we see because what you see is deceiving. What you see is fleeting. What you see and think is success, or what you think and see, what you see and think is impact can actually just be excitement. Could actually just be response, participation, but it might not have any lasting impact. You have to believe that when you show up and you are authentically you, that you are reaching the people that you were intended to reach. And that has to be enough, especially when you're first starting out in something, because most of us don't start out in anything and then have a large response or a large group that just jump on board. Typically, it takes a little time. It takes some patience. It takes some elbow grease. It takes us to continue to work towards it, work on it, and continue to show up. And therefore, if you are determined to judge your success by what you see, you will be devastated and disappointed as you're building your influence, or you're building your audience, if you will. You have to be okay knowing that I'm going to show up and there is already predetermined persons who I have been created to impact and change their lives. And so I will be authentic in who I am with the expectation that somebody's life will be changed and impacted. Now, one of the definitions that we talked about, it included the word genuine. And so I looked up what genuine means. And I love the way that the Merriam-Webster talks about genuine. And it literally says it implies actual character, not counterfeited, not imitated, not adulterated. Again, it implies actual character. And I love that because genuine simply implies that you are who you say you are. It says that you're not imitating someone else. It says that you're not trying to be someone else. It's saying you're not trying to be what somebody else thinks you should be, thinks you should do, thinks you should say. Instead, this is your actual character. When I show up, you see me always. And I believe that in order for us to truly release greatness, in order for us to truly foster achievement and never compromise who we are, we have to be real. We have to be genuine. We have to be authentic. No one likes fake. You weren't created to be a representation or an imitation of anyone else. You are created the way that you were on purpose, with a specific design for a specific reason to reach a specific set of people. And I guarantee you, whether you believe it or not, someone is waiting for you. I truly hope you are charged up as a result of this week's episode of Think Fancy. You have too much on the inside of you to just listen, so now you are empowered to do. You are indeed well able, fully capable, and properly equipped to do everything you were created and designed to do. Make this week a great one.